We'll make some things here. Oops, get rid of one. And just by way of showing you some tools and what you can do with them, I have some steel here, and this is just coil spray. Pretty cheap. You can get it at Midas. They kind of throw the stuff away. You make it something like a center punch or chisel. I'd be happy to give you all the scrap stuff you want to get a hold of. So it's a good steel for cold work. For hot work, I've used it, but you got to be quick because it tempers, but it loses temper if you're punching something in some hot metal. So, get you loosened up here real quick.
everyone.
How many heats did I use? Two. How many tools did I use? I taught horseshoeing for years, and I really liked blacksmithing. So during my horseshoeing career, I really wanted to know how to make handmade horseshoes. You can buy them. So practice for years, making them. I would make them, and I'd shoot horses with them. And if you're going to be efficient at working this, there are several things you have to know. First of all, you have to manage your fire. Unlike that animal bimbo that left it all messed up. Now, there's tools laying around. You have to be organized, okay? See a lot of guys starting out and everything is inconvenient. The tongs don't fit, the camera's too heavy. It's just inconvenient, the workspace. You don't need much workspace. With just boards and an animal and a fixed up and an outlet, a few things. A lot of things you can do in a small space. Okay. So, this is by way of introducing you to some tools that are all handmade. Okay, this is hand-forged punch. Okay? And this is what we call the four punch. The nail has a shape to it. This is the stem punch, and that's going to take it the rest of the way to the bottom. And this is called the pritchel, and that actually punches out the hole. This hole is called the pritchel hole, and in England we back in about 16 something, 1700s, somewhere in there, they started making handles with the pritchel hole beside the starting hole. You can get by without a pritchel hole, but you'll see in some of the handles they'll have both. And they become tools. And in fact, today the horseshoeing handles are, well, they're very specialized. Okay, this is not finished, but you can see you can do a lot of work with a hammer. You can grind this off or hot rasp, getting it hot and rasping it. So there's my hot rasp right there.
I'm sure that's an answer.
As we learn today about making tools, you'll understand there's cold working tools and there's hot working tools. These take a lot of abuse. You really have to stand up. The same thing with cold working tools, they're going to take a lot of abuse. They have to stand up. Now, the thing about these, you can buy the steel, forge it, and with the modern tool skills we have today, they're really, really good at taking the heat. But if you want to make a good cold work tool, you can use. Yesterday, I took this steel. This is just a coil spring. I just cut it off with a torch. I heated it up to temperature. We call this temperature critical temperature. Critical temperature is that temperature at which it loses its magnetism. Okay? Non-magnetic. So you can take a magnet, it doesn't stick to it at that temperature, right there. So what I did is I heated it up, and that's about 1800 degrees. It's a real nice glowing orange color. Then I stick it into a needle. Okay? So that's the next step. To anneal something, you put it in, well, here Rick has some vermiculite, which works fine. It's a good insulator. You can just bury it in there. It's orange hot, we leave it set, probably takes 3-4 hours to cool down. So this is the project you do ahead of time, so that when you're ready to make your tools, it's already made. Usually what I do is just make a bunch of pieces, anneal them and let them, and then when I need to make a tool, it's there, it's all ready, I can go at it. If you don't do that, this stuff is kind of like, it's the immovable force. Hammer, you hammer, and you're thinking, boy, those guys really made it look easy. How come I can't do it? Well, it was not soft. What happens basically is the molecules have a chance to cool down slowly, and they're not in, well, if you study metallurgy, you determine some different things. They talk about austenite and martensitic and so on. Well, those sorts of things happen to steel. This is temperable. And there's good carbon content to it. So we're going to turn this into a tool and go through the whole process of doing it. So the thing to remember is this: good tongs. There's nothing worse than working with stuff that doesn't fit. Okay? See how wide these are? Not very good. Okay. How are these? A little bit. Okay. How are these? Better. Okay, so you gotta have something that fits your hand and will grip the metal. If you don't, then you're always working and it's very clumsy. So you gotta have tools that will fits the wood. All right, so I'll get going in here. Make a couple Now, when you heat this up, to work it, you have to get up to critical temperature. Again, that's an orange color. And when you get up to that temperature, if you leave it set there, crystalline structure gets bigger and bigger. And when that happens, if you don't do anything to it, it will break easily. And prevent that, what you do is you forge it back into the color range where this won't happen anymore. So you keep disturbing those molecules, packing them together so they aren't allowed to grow in size. Then, if you get up a piece and you're not ready to work it, you can easily make it to the point where you're really, hitting it, doing something, it breaks off, it's crystallizing, you wonder, how did that happen? Anytime you're working tool steel, take your time. Now, as all of you know, sometimes things go wrong. So, I use the spring steel to get the skirts up and the wasp punch. Got the triple minus number. Pick up some more skirts. The other thing is, you gotta have a nice deep fire. There are, I don't know if Mike told you much about fire, but in the wasp punch. Got the triple minus number. Pick up some more skirts. The other thing is, you gotta have a nice deep fire. There are, I don't know if Mike told you much about fire, but when you work with a coal fire, it's different than gas fire. Gas fire is an oxidizing atmosphere that scales, really scales a lot. When you work with a coal fire, you have both oxidizing, reducing, and neutral areas. The oxidizing is way down near the air blast, the neutral's going to be in between, okay? The reducing will be out here at the top. So you can determine where you want to be. Now, what's happening when you're working tool steel, you're frying the carbon out on the surface. So, basic rule of thumb when you're making tools, oversize it, because you're going to want to grind it back. If you make it just do what you want, then you have no room to dress it up. So always oversize your stuff just a little bit. Now if you're making a massive tool, like one of those stakes back there, something like that, it's not as critical. Ready to straighten this out. Working at critical temperature. Down to the red range. Okay. If you start working at too cold, it can trap. It's just about the time you want to finish your tool and it comes apart. Okay. This hammer over here, too heavy for me. I worked horseshoeing. The basic hammer that gives you is about a 2.5 pound head. And so it's like a club. So I went to a 1.5 pound head. It was like I was really whaling. So I found a in between a 2 pound. And it works for me. So if you get the weight of hammer that you're comfortable with, many hammers do many different kinds of work. If you're doing lighter work, a lighter hammer. But if you're going to move something, you got to have something that's comfortable. Otherwise, I see people, they're out there and they're doing this. You ever see people doing that, hammering? What's wrong? No control. Problem is, tired. The muscles are all tired in here. They can't bring the hammer up like this, and they're doing this. You know they're tired. I got pictures of them when we had our free clinics, and they're out there like this. They're almost like they're crippled. That's because tools are too massive for this. Okay. See the scaling quite nicely. shape forged out. And incidentally, all this scale on the animal, you're not wearing glasses. You can be working on a metal leveling and pieces can pop up in your face. So it's always a good idea to wear safety glasses. Even at that, if you leave a scale on there, hot pieces fly up and they get you. Unlike Mike, who has no long sleeves, he hasn't been burned by enough scale and hot slag yet. When he gets a little older, he'll learn to wear long sleeves. My wife keeps saying, isn't it hot? Not as hot as that hot steel. You get burns, I can show you the burns on my arms here. Molten metal and scale getting on me. Okay, just about there. Right near me. Pull my tools off. Going to be a chisel. You all me use chisels? Okay. You can make a center punch, and the center punch can be just perfectly round. Here's two of them. One is octagon, one is round. It doesn't have to be octagon, because it doesn't matter the orientation, does it? Using the chisel, the orientation is important. So that's why you want to make those roots on the side so that you can orient it when you're punching, chiseling. edge of your tool, so you just cut that off. So it's a little longer than we need, and you make that way, so we can get rid of the excess material. Back then, leaving a lot of edge on there. Flammable stuff laying around. If you cut this off, you got this hot chunk of metal going across your shop, and you smell rubber, somebody standing on it. You smell hair, it got the dog. You see flames, it's either an oil or it's a paper or something like that. So I get it to that point right there, and I can just punch that very end. I'm just punching that very little piece there. And then you can knock it off. Just that way. Okay, we'll finish the other end, and then we'll dress it up a little bit, and then we'll form the chisel end, and we'll dress it up, and then we'll go through the tempering process. Any questions so far?
When you said the ends were carbonized, what did you mean by that? You were cutting off the ends because...
I cut them with a torch,
Okay.
and as you do that, you're burning up carbon,
Okay.
and you need the carbon content to have a tool that will take the temper from edge to edge. So you just get rid of the waste. You put it through a saw, cut it off that way, you wouldn't have that problem. But I like the gas wrench, it's real quick. Anything that involves something other than hammering, too much work for me. So either it's a power tool or it's a hammer. Okay, quick press down. replaceable armor and do you sell it?
Some people do.
Some people do.
It's a lot of work, you usually can't get what it's worth.
I have a secret to tell you. I have a secret to tell you. And that is, the work you produce, you can't afford. It's too expensive for you to afford. And that's why a lot of people feel bad charging the price that they have to get it. I mean, if you sit down and you figure out your time, material, you can't afford it. We had a blacksmith in here who was demonstrating making he made some plates, you know, for the door poles in a big mansion, and they ordered, I don't know how many, 30 some of them, 38, 39. And he made them on both sides, the handles, and they were all different. He took plates of steel and he hammered in all these designs. They were intricate, flowers, decoration, rope designs. At the end, they said to him, "Oh, we don't need that many. We only, like, he made 39, you only need 38." He was absolutely tickled that he got to keep one because he couldn't afford it. It took 40 hours to make one. And who among us has 40 hours just to do something for ourselves? We can't afford it. We got to put food on the table, pay the rent. So don't be afraid to charge what your stuff is worth. They don't want to pay it, say, "God bless you." Down the road. Someone arguing about the price, you can say, "Well, just go down to Kmart and get some." God bless you. Well, they don't have anything. Well, go to Walmart. Well, they don't have it. Go to Shopko. Well, they don't have it. Well, you know, you gotta have it out there somewhere cheap, right? Go to Mexico. Right? And after the trip, myself and my family, we make birch bark canoes. We were demonstrating one time. It was kind of a nice, well-to-do area of the state. The lady stopped by and she's looking and talking and all that. And she says, "Oh, where is the birch bark store that you get your birch bark from?" And I says, "You tell me where it's at and I'll go there. I've just been pulling it off of trees." What pervades our atmosphere in this, we're the richest nation in the world and everybody is cheap, yes? And they don't realize a lot of this craft takes a lot of craftsmanship to do it, and it's expensive. And if you don't want to pay for it, well, go to Walmart, go to Kmart.
How do you know how much on the end is carburized? Like when you knocked off those two pieces because they were, or because you had come with the torch, how far up do you know? You said there's bad stuff that you don't want.
Remember what I said to oversize everything?
Yeah.
I took off ½ inch. I'm not afraid because I had more than enough material. The tool was worth much more than that scrap, whatever I'm going to grind off. So you have to be kind of liberal, okay?
But ½ inch was liberal?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't want any, see, I pinched it off, I don't want any fold over or seams or any abnormalities or creases or anything that's going to sacrifice the integrity of the tool. gotta be clean, it's gotta stand up. Someone's gonna wail on it. If a piece of steel comes flying off and hits somebody, you know, embedded in their skin or eye or something, they're gonna come back after you, aren't they? Okay, let's force this in out there. This is a tool now I need to use. Now on this end here, you got to forge it more than what you actually need the chisel head to be, because you're going to grind it back still.
Joe,
Yes,
could you show us the close up of that? What you got so far?
close up, sure.
Yeah. Without handing it around? I want to see what you got with the tape.
I want to see you're doing a good job, that's what he really wants. He's checking your work.
Check it out.
It won't take him long. Like the old, guy comes up, checks the horseshoe, and he grabs it like that. Guy, the farrier says, hot, hi. No, it doesn't take me long. Look at his shoe.
I don't think you know how to look at it. Yeah.
Striking and done. Now, when I temper this tool, it will not be tempered like you get from Craftsman. It'll be better. If you go buy one, we'll do a side-by-side, and I'll show you. They have to temper them all the same, because that's how the tempering process goes. They heat treat them, they quench them, they bring them all up to the same temperature, they do them in big batches. This I can temper just the end, leave the other end untempered so it will be softer. So it will mushroom. You grind that off. The striking end will be really tough. This is where different, the tongs for everything. Okay. We can still do a little dress up, but the major portion of it is done. Now we're going to temper. We bring it to critical temperature. And then we quench. And when we can quench, there's different quench medium. There's everything from hot air to oil to brine, water, all those sorts of things. We quench it so that water will stand on it. I do it with oil also. I do it with brine. Just depends on the steel. Some are faster quenches than others. Air would be a slow quench. Something like salt water, brine, is a fast quench. If it's cold, it's even faster. Water, well, that's a little faster than oil. Oil is a little slower. And in all of these, you got to remember, you got to move it around. The reason being is you have bubbles forming on the surface. There is an air quench interface. It's not quenching. So you'll see me dipping it or doing that. Or sometimes you see people quenching a whole thing, a whole tool or a piece, and they'll just plunge it in up and down to quench it even. And after we quench it, I'm not going to quench the entire thing. I'm going to run the colors. And the color I'm going to take it to is a purple. There is a there's a book I'll talk to you about that gives you lots of good information. Now I'm just going to quench the end here. In order to see the colors, polish it a little bit. And as you're looking, you'll see colors right there. Now you can see the colors spread out. Yep. I can see it out spread out as far as possible. Rather than thinking about now we're getting into the yellow. You see we're going coming from bronze. Any more questions?
You said on this particular tool, we were going for purple on the color when you were running the colors. Are there different instances where different colors apply? And that's different toughness? Or what made you choose purple on this one?
Because I've
Done this before?
done this before, and that's the toughness I want. I don't want it so hard that it'll come off. Okay. Now, contrary to popular belief, people believe that if you take the temper out of something, it's gone forever. No. What you simply do is you get a critical temperature, they go through the tempering process again. If you have a tool you have to severely dress because of damage. You have somebody in the shop that works with your tools who messed up, gouges and chips. Just grind it back to where you got your tool ready to go again. And then take it through the tempering process. Anything can be re-tempered. How many times do you want to do it? 20, 50, 1,000?
Hey.
Just pay attention, just grind it, take it back. And that's something too, with grinding a tool to shape it. You are in the water, quenching it as you're grinding about as much as you're on the grinder. So people are afraid to grind a tool, a tempered tool. Say, don't be. You can dress it, however, don't go to sleep on the grinder. You know what I'm saying? You dress it, quench it, dress it, quench it, back and forth, and you're fine. This book, I think we sell it here, the new edge of the anvil, is an excellent beginner's book. I recommend this for my beginning blacksmiths. They have everything in here about a little bit of smart testing, different types of steel, weights of them, different tool steels, whatever kind of work you want to do. Cold work, hot work, shock resistant. I've used some of these for different applications. For instance, the tools I use to punch my shoes with their hot work, shock resistant tools. They take a lot of abuse. You have to be able to dress them and forge them back to shape if you need to. Excellent stuff in here. Really lots of basic things. So if you have any questions about some of the tools and what they're for, there's an excellent basic blacksmithing textbook. Okay, and some real beginner projects like how to make a fire pole, start your fire, and I highly recommend it. There's not a lot of books that start you out at the real basic level. That's one. There are a handful of others. Really nice.
I'm sure it's cooled down by now. It should be fine.
Watch out, that's hot.
Wow.